Hi everyone, it's Tim Derling and this is Tim's Vinyl Confessions. Thank you all for watching. On today's episode, I'm going to go through another part of my 8-track collection. It's a complete collection with some, probably some of the rarest 8-tracks that I own, because this is a band that has some very big selling albums, but then some albums that are really, really obscure. And some people might be surprised to find out how far this band goes back when they first started, all the way to 1971. For REO Speedwagon. So I'm going through their 8-track collection, and like I said, some rare ones here. So the debut album came out in 1971. It's a very distinctive cover, and I might add this very distinctive orange casing. I like this color here, actually. This is a US copy on Epic. This is so far back, it's got the really, really old Epic logo here. They very soon well, they switched that for another old logo, but that's a really old one. You can see it a little bit bigger on the back here. This isn't an album that's easy to find in any format, but here it is on 8-track. You can see that last track, Dead at Last, takes up the entirety of side 4, and you might be thinking, wow, that doesn't sound like an REO Speedwagon album. You might be surprised with some of their early stuff. A little bit more common album. You see this one around on vinyl anyway. 1972, REO 2. Kind of introduces the better known lineup of the band. This is Kevin Cronin's first album on vocals. You suppose Aerosmith were paying attention to that logo? I don't know. This is also a US one on Epic. Majority of these are on Epic. That's the Epic logo they used for at least up through the mid-70s there. Kind of funny looking E. I like the red color of this one too. These are some colorful ones. These first two anyway. The rest of these are your typical black, dark gray US CBS ones. 1973, pretty good, best known for its title song and best known for its live version, but here it's the third REO Speedwagon album, Riding the Storm Out. And it's still using that same Epic logo there. The next two, because Riding the Storm Out ended up selling enough to go platinum once our REO became quite a big band, so that album eventually went platinum, but the next two are really, really hard to find, again, in any format. 1974, Lost in a Dream. You see the title written there, it's kind of faded. That side of this could use some, should probably glue this, but it's another US Epic one. Yeah, very obscure album. And honestly, I'm not crazy about a lot of these early ones, but got to have them for the collection. And then we get to 1975. And this one doesn't even have the title written on it, I don't think. This is called This Time We Mean It. And if you notice real close, there's some REOs there with the E raised. Very, very 70s looking. I'm not sure what you'd think of this, looking at this, what kind of band you'd be listening to. And quite honestly, I don't think they knew what kind of band they were at this point. Interesting, sometimes they would put periods after REO, and sometimes they didn't. And also, for some reason, the title of the album is in quotations. It's also in quotations on the back, not sure. Not sure why. So 1976, things start to pick up a little bit. Kevin Cronin returns to the band. So far, he's only been on their second album, but this is sort of a rebranding, I guess. Maybe that's why they just simply titled this album REO. Obviously, it's also known as the Cow album. And again, they're using periods, at least here. And they're back to the older Epic logo, which makes me wonder how far back this 8-track goes. Not sure about that. Keep Pushing was a good song off of this one. Yeah, the printing on here looks a little bit older maybe. I don't know. It's really not obvious when these were issued. So I'm sure that I don't have them in the order that they came out, because there'd have been reissues and stuff. This is a band that once they became big, a lot of people went back and bought some of those early albums, like Riding the Storm Out and like REO 2. I guess the first really big one for them came in 1977. And like a lot of bands in the 70s, they broke on a live album. Live, you get what you play for. And this is a physically heavier tape than the rest of them because it's a double, so there's twice the amount of tape in here. You can feel it by picking it up. Yeah, and obviously there's more songs on here. So yeah, this kind of got them more attention. So that from here on in, these are some more recognizable albums for sure. 1978, you can tune a piano, but you can't tune a fish. It's not a great album cover, but I like it for its ridiculousness and also, the pun that the title is. And this is one of those 8 tracks that CBS did in the States where the label wraps completely around. Not all of them did that, but for one period they did that. There's no cutoff there. Of course, this had Roll with the Changes, which still gets airplay today, also Time for Me to Fly. So this is more the REO Speedwagon that people would come to know. Oddly enough, though, they did take a little bit of a dip on their next album, which I think is a pretty rockin' album for them. 1979, 9 Lives. It is their 9th album. Just a typical Epic. So now they're using this Epic logo, which would be much more recognizable here. Also, there's a barcode now. And as I've said before, if you collect and keep your music cataloged through Discogs, it is possible to use the Discogs app on your phone, scan the barcodes on these, and they'll come in. They'll work. All the ones I've tried do, which is kind of funny because these were created long before Discogs or anything like that. 1980, another thick or another weighty cassette because it's a double album. It's compilation, A Decade of Rock and Roll, 1970 to 1980. Lots of songs on this one. And another barcode you can scan. The next one, for a lot of reasons, it's pretty obvious. It's the only Canadian one I have. The rest of these are all US, but it makes sense because it was such a big album that it sold in mass quantities on both sides of the border. Of course, I'm talking about High Infidelity, a pretty easy one to find. So, as you can see, the Canadian 8 tracks look much different. And nothing on the back of this one. So I've had 2 of these. One had writing on it, and I found another one that didn't, so this is the one that I have now. Follow-up album for a lot of years got a lot of grief, even by the band that said it was rushed and it wasn't very good. I've always really liked it, actually. And it's the last of the retail 8 tracks for REO Speedwagon. 1982 and Good Trouble. And now the last 2 I have to show you are both RCO, Record Club only. These are US Columbia House issues that came out after 8 tracks stopped appearing in retail stores. 1984, Wheels Are Turning. This one's interesting because most of this cover is blocked by this thing here that's got all the song titles on it. I'm not sure why they chose to do that. It's not like the song titles aren't printed elsewhere, but there you go. And I have one more, and we're really getting into the years where the production of these were really getting smaller and smaller. So this is actually a sealed one that I was able to find. 1987, all the way up to 1987. Life as We Know It. On this cream-colored tape here, which a few of them at the time Columbia House was using. And there you go. 1987 8-track here. If you are intrigued by the idea of these 8 tracks that came out later on in the 80s, if you haven't heard about it, I have a book called Unspooled: An Adventure in 8 Tracks. It has a lot of collecting stories in here and a lot of personal stories about discovering music, but it also talks about 8 tracks that were released through the record clubs throughout the 1980s, all the way through 1988. So If you're interested in picking this up, I'll have an Amazon link below so you can purchase it, and I thank everybody that's bought it already. So there you go. That is an 8-track collection you might think would have been smaller. But as far as I know, that is every single 8-track released by REO Speedwagon. Any REO fans out there, talk to me. What are your favorite albums? Anybody else got any of these? And as always, I want to thank you for watching Tim's Vinyl Confessions. We'll see you later.